Ladies and gentlemen, once again, in 2 minutes, at 10 o'clock Bahrain time, we're going to begin 2021 Bahrain-Korea Medical Partnership Webinar.
There,
네, 잠시 뒤
the
10시부터
doctor
2021
from
메디컬
Ministry
코리아
of
거점
Health
공간 연계 사업 한 발인 보건
is coming
의료
in.
협력 웨비나를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 잠시만 대기해 주시기 바랍니다.
You have a written scenario?
Yes, sir. Please, I just need to focus now.
네. 성자가 미국까지 보내서 앉아서 보고 우리가 같이 하는 거, 영어 같이 하는 거.
Now we will begin today's webinar. Ms. Laila, would you like to take the floor?
Sure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all in the 2021 Bahrain-Korea Medical Partnership webinar. My name is Layla Haidar, Senior Executive Assistant in the Embassy of the Republic of Korea, and I will be your moderator for this webinar. Before we start, kindly note that the chat box below the video space on the observers page will be the open space for the inquiries occurring during this section of the webinar. Feel free to leave any comments, inquiries with your full contact details so that the concerned authority could revert to you accordingly. Also, a note to the dear speakers, upon completion of your segment, you are kindly requested to turn off your microphones. Now, we will kick off our webinar with the greetings from our distinguished guests. Firstly, with the video greeting message from Her Excellency Ms. Fa'iqa bin Saeed Al Saleh, Minister of Health of the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Your Excellency, Mr. Hakwan Chang, Ambassador of the Korean Embassy in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning or evening to all of you. It's a great pleasure to deliver my opening speech in this important webinar that reflects the continuity of bilateral cooperation between the two friendly countries, Kingdom of Bahrain and the Republic of Korea, to enhance health and medical cooperation and ways to expand joint action to increase opportunities in the medical fields. I'm also delighted to see that this webinar succeeded in bringing together healthcare professionals in one platform, as international collaboration and joint work is essential now, more than ever, and such webinars play a crucial role to cast the first stone. Therefore, I'm thankful to the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in the Kingdom of Bahrain for organizing and co-hosting this virtual interactive webinar, and appreciate the participants for taking the time to participate in this virtual webinar. We have been looking forward to having such a valuable knowledge-sharing opportunity with the Republic of Korea. I recall my last visit to the Republic of Korea in 2019, and its result, stressing Bahrain's interest in strengthening the friendship and cooperation relations with Korea. And I see now a new area of cooperation which are promising in the medical fields for both countries. Ladies and gentlemen, today COVID-19 has presented many challenges worldwide and has emphasized on the importance of science, technology, and innovation in our day-to-day lives, in which they are indispensable for our response to and recovery from this pandemic or any future health crisis. However, with every challenge comes an opportunity, both in Bahrain and Korea. We can open more and newer areas of cooperation and collaboration. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and scaling up of good practices. I trust that we will conclude the webinar with fruitful outcomes and mutual understanding of how our countries can work together and continue to strengthen our bilateral relations in the health sector. I thank you.
Gratified for the warm message of Her Excellency the Minister. Now, may His Excellency Ambassador He Kwan-chang, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to the Kingdom of Bahrain, take the platform with his message.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Korea-Bahrain Medical Partnership webinar. First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all of you who made unspared efforts to materialize these events, especially Her Excellency Ms. Faika Al-Saleh, Minister of Health, for very insightful address, and also ministry officials, and Dr. Mariam Al-Jalehima, and Mr. Ahmed bin Hindi, and Bahrain Businessmen Association, and Korea Health Industry Development Institute too. So our two countries have enjoyed constructive partnership in medical sectors, including Sehati program. Furthermore, under the recent circumstances of the COVID pandemic, we are all realized how significant and vital to establish an excellent healthcare system and also the medical industries. I hope and believe that today's event proved to be another momentum to build better networks and also harvest fruitful business cooperation to this end. Finally, I would like to reiterate my heartfelt gratitude for all the contribution and the attendance of all of you, and express my best wishes for fruitful result for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your warm message and kind words. Finally, please welcome His Excellency, Mr. Ahmed Abdullah bin Hindi, Chairman of the Bahrain Businessmen Association.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Faiqa Saeed Al-Saleh, Minister of Health. Your Excellency, Ambassador Chuan Huan Kwan, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea, the Kingdom of Bahrain. Your Excellency, Dr. Mariam Adbi Al-Jalahma, CEO of National Health Regulatory Authority. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. May I take this opportunity to welcome you all this morning and extend a further word of thanks for taking time off from your busy business schedule to attend this virtual webinar. I would also like to convey the greetings of my colleagues at the Businessmen Association Board of Directors and members, to all the leaders and business from Republic of Korea and Kingdom of Bahrain. This forum represents an ideal opportunity to establish commercial partnership between the private sector in both countries. And we look forward to open more channels of cooperation with our Korean partners. At this webinar, we aim to increase and strengthen the trade exchange between our countries and discuss various investment opportunities on both sides, especially in medical and health sector. Bahrain is in fact an important gateway to enter the Gulf market, and this island was able to attract vast foreign investment from many countries due to the availability of advanced and strong legislations that attracts and protects foreign investments in addition to business-friendly environment. I would like to take this opportunity to insist upon the importance of direct business connection between the two countries, which will help in promoting mutual benefits in terms of trade and investment. Without taking much of your time, I would like to thank you once again for being with us today, and hope you enjoy and get the maximum out of the forum and the B2B meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Chairman of Bahrain Businessmen Association. Thank you all to all the dignitaries and the excellencies for their warm greetings. Now, I would like to request Her Excellency, Dr. Mariam Adbi Al-Jalana, Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Regulatory Authority of the Kingdom of Bahrain, to take the platform and present the Bahrain Health Market and Policy. Doctor, could you please turn on your mic, please?
Good morning, everybody. Excellency, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea, Excellency Mr. Ahmed bin Hindi, Chairman of the Bahrain Business Association. It's my pleasure and honor to participate with you in this important webinar. And we really look forward to the outcomes of this webinar that will bring hopefully a lot of cooperation and business between Bahrain and Korea. So allow me to talk about the regulating the health sector in Bahrain, what areas of investments we are looking for. And I'd like to share with you some of the details that I have. Can you see my screen? My presentation? Yeah.
Your presentation is visible.
Thank you. So I am the CEO of the National Health Regulatory Authority. It is an independent regulatory body established in 2009, and it's under the supervision of the Supreme Council of Health. Our vision is to have a safe and high quality services. We regulate the health sector, so we aim to regulate to have a regulated and accountable facilities, safe and trusted health services, and protect the health rights. As a regulatory body, we are responsible for licensing of professionals in Bahrain, licensing and inspection of healthcare facilities, also providing accreditation for the healthcare facilities. We approve continuous development programs. We investigate complaints and take disciplinary action. We approve clinical trial. We are the responsible body to regulate and license medical devices and pharmaceuticals. So all these goes under our responsibility, under one roof. So any investor who comes to Bahrain who wants to invest in the healthcare sector, he will find that the regulatory body, licensing body is all under one roof, under the National Health Regulatory Authority. Let me give you a glance on the healthcare sector in Bahrain. In 2020, we have 788 total number of licensed facilities, including hospital, medical centers, alternative medicine centers, clinics, optic shops, labs, physiotherapy, allied health centers. Now, until the mid of 2021, although there is the corona pandemic, but the number of facilities increased to 808. So the investment went on in Bahrain regardless of the pandemic status in the whole world. We have 20 hospitals licensed in Bahrain, 280 medical centers, 90 clinics, and in 2020, the total number of new licenses were 90, and until the mid of 21, we have 40 new applications. We have different types of healthcare facilities in types of centers like multi-specialty centers, general medical centers, dental centers, and then we have subspecialties such as orthopedic, cardiovascular, surgery for infertility, ENT, and all the other different ones. The most number we have is, if you look at number 16 here, 16 dermatology and aesthetic medicine, which is the most popular now. We have 123 multi-specialty medical centers. Multi-specialty means that more than one specialty under one center. We have over 17,000 healthcare professionals licensed in Bahrain. Bahrain has a good number of national physicians, nurses, allied health, and good number of pharmacists and dental. In fact, if you come to the dental practice, it is even above the world ratio of per 100,000 population. Also, we encourage and regulate alternative medicine. We have so far 20 total number of licensed alternative medical facilities, and 22 facilities within their general medicine, they provide also alternative medicine. We have 42 licensed practitioners and 18 technicians. Alternative medicine is well regulated in Bahrain, and these are the types of alternative medicine services available now, and we regulate them. The Ayurvedic, naturopathic, osteopathic, craniosacral, acupuncture, reflexology, the cupping, chiropractic, homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, herbal therapy, and massage therapy. Under the regulation of pharmacies and pharmaceutical services, we have over 3,800 medicines registered in Bahrain, and 663 health products that are also licensed. We have now almost 400 pharmacies by mid of 21 licensed in Bahrain, either working within a facility or independent. Medical devices, we have over 11,000 applications of medical devices, 278 combined medical devices. That means it has a device and a medicine. And it's almost over 45 million Bahraini dinars imported medical devices to Bahrain. Why you should invest in Bahrain? Bahrain has one of the highest qualities of life in the Middle East. There are a young, educated, bilingual local workforce. It boasts a 40-year track record as a Gulf's leading financial center. It provides access to regional market of 1.5 billion people, Arab countries with 300 million people, and Gulf Cooperation Council market of 40 million people. It is a pioneer in the Gulf region. It is ranked in the 4th in terms of cost of living in the Middle East. Bahrain has the highest level of economic freedom in the Middle East and North Africa, MENA region, according to the Heritage Foundation Economic Freedom Index 2016. It's a tax-free business, and the government subsidized to contribute to your business and local wages. So you don't have to have a Bahraini partner to invest in Bahrain. You can open your own company. And we have a supporting body that supports the businesses. If you hire Bahrainis for 3 years, they will subsidize their salaries. First year will be 70%, second year 50% of the salary, and the third year 30%. They also will support your investment in buying medical equipment and other technologies needed. And also the training. What type of investments we are looking for? Drug manufacturing, medical device manufacturing, long stay facilities, rehabilitation, alternative medicine, maybe Korean alternative medicine, women and child care, psychiatry, sports medicine, and also other investment that we call supporting services like waste management, medical laundry, catering, and day surgery facility. During the COVID-19, one of the best rapid antigen tests we approved for emergency use authorization was imported or made in Korea. And we are really looking forward to even importing medicines from Korea, because there is a lot of medicines with shortage in Bahrain. And we have a lot of local agents who are interested and can help bring medicines to Bahrain. Now, I know that some of the medicines are not tested for the zone 4 for the temperature, but we can look at some of the exceptions, and we can facilitate the importation of medicines. And we look really forward to have partnership between you and local agents to import medicines to Bahrain. If you visit our website, www.nhra.bh, and go to the open data, you will find the list of medicines, their prices, and the local agents. And these are the registered medications, of course, and you can have an idea about that. We price the medications here according to the unified GCC CIF price. But we do give the agents a percentage of revenue up to 35%. But we do not regulate the price of medical devices or other than drugs like health products or food supplements. This is in brief, and I will leave the rest of information when we have questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your very informative presentation. I would like to now call on the third section of this section. We will open the floor for the Overseas Patients and Visiting Doctor Program presentations. From the Republic of Korea, please welcome with me Dr. Heng-Shin Lee, Director of Healthcare Inbound Department at the Bureau of Global Healthcare of Korea Health Industry Development Institute. And from the Kingdom of Bahrain, please welcome Ms. Fatima Isa Jafar, the coordinator of the Visiting Doctors Program of the Supreme Committee of Treatment Abroad. Please go ahead.
Greetings. I am Heng-Shin Lee, Director of Department of Healthcare of KD. Before my presentation, let us watch a video clip on Korean medicine service for Middle East patients.
There is a son who dedicated 5 years of his life into taking care of his father who suffered from hepatocirrhosis. It's Bara from Kuwait.
저희가 옆에서 지켜보기에 아버지를 항상 먼저 생각하는 아들이었고
The only way to save his father was through the living donor liver transplant surgery.
طبعا الوالد كان معارض يعني من أول يوم. يعني اليوم اللي قالوا له أنت تحتاج زراعة أنا قلت له موجود يعني وإن شاء الله أنا راح أتبرع فهو كان معارض لفترة طويلة يعني.
Bara wanted to deliver hope and courage to his father who was struggling against a serious disease.
두 사람의 수술이 정말 잘 되도록 저희가 간절한 마음으로 함께 기도했었습니다.
وقد مررنا بتجربة بحلوها ومرها هنا في كوريا. أنستنا كل تلك المعاناة.
아버님이 수술 끝나고 눈을 뜨셔서 제일 처음 여쭤보시는 말이 아드님은 괜찮냐는 말이셨어요. 가족애가 상당히 끈끈해 보였고
모든 분들이 다 완쾌돼서 돌아올 수 있도록 저희가 최선을 다하자는 게 저희들의 미션이고 그 일을 할 수 있게 된 것을 저희가 대단히 감사하게 생각하고 있습니다.
والله ما توقعنا أن تكون الخدمة كذي يعني كأن يحسسوك كأنك في بلادك يعني.
Interpreter Cheon-young is like family to Bara and his father. She took care of the father and son until the very last minute in Korea.
والآن أنا بصحة جيدة من فضل الله والفرحة تزداد عندما قرب السفر إلى البلاد.
المستشفى كلماتي هي لازم يعني كلمة ما تكفي بس اللي يعني.
Mariam came to South Korea 4 months ago due to severe pain in her knee joints. Surgery was very difficult due to her unstable inflammation rate.
في البداية صابني إحباط بسبب ارتفاع الالتهاب بشكل كبير.
걱정은 많이 했었죠. 이런 분은 또 혈전 같은 게 많이 생겨서 다른 전신합병증이 생길 수 있기 때문에.
류마티스 내과 협의 진료하에 약물 조절 등이 이루어졌고 반응이 좋아서
لكن بفضل الطاقم الطبي الموجود في المستشفى الكوري الحمد لله حققوا سرعة عالية في تنزيل الالتهاب وتنفيذ العملية.
Mariam's treatment was better than expected thanks to the prompt and accurate treatment and the post-surgery treatment system by the medical staff.
처음 내원 당시에 발을 디디지도 못할 정도로 극심한 통증을 호소하셨었는데요. 수술 이후에 맞춤형 재활을 통해서 현재는 워커를 이용한 보행까지 가능하신 상태입니다.
الحمد لله تحسنت حالة الوالدة بنسبة 80%، لكن بفضل الفريق الطبي المتطور والأجهزة الطبية المتطورة في المستشفيات الكورية استعادت المشي خلال 4 أشهر.
지금 각도는 다 됐어요. 더 할 필요 없어요. 지금.
환자분 지금 재활 치료 경과도 좋고 해서
참 다행으로 생각하고 우리들 모두 기쁘게 생각합니다.
الموظفين اللي في داخل المستشفى واللي يجيبونا والذين المحطين كلهم ما شاء الله عليهم زينين.
Miriam could only move around with the use of a wheelchair, but now she has acquired the happiness of leading an ordinary life.
It is a wonder or unusual, but with IT, with all the modern machinery that the big hospitals in Korea have, I see Korea not as a follower, but as a future leader in the surgical fields and in the fields that procedure fields that require high skill.
Yes, greetings again. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. On behalf of KD, I sincerely thank you for joining us at this particular webinar hosted by Korea and Bahrain for medical and healthcare cooperation. Through the COVID-19 crisis, we were once again reminded how closely the world is connected based on solidarity and exchange. For today's presentation, I will be introducing Korean healthcare service and how the medical environments in Korea are carefully prepared to serve patients from Middle East. I will be providing current status of Korean medical infrastructure and official statistics on actual surveys targeted for Middle East patients. We do have hospitals especially designed and committed to serve Middle East patients as well. I would like to start off by sharing the overview of Korean healthcare service, starting from the introduction of strengths and very high level in medical practice. I would like to focus on our true commitment to patients, particularly from Middle East. The state of preparedness for Middle East patients can be considered completed in medical institutions. Why Korea? Korea has achieved the leading position in patient treatments for international patients, including the Middle East. Medical institutions perform exceptional practice through quality service and reasonable cost with fast and efficient diagnosis and treatment. Since 2009, the number of foreign patients from 198 countries has dramatically increased by 23% annually. The cumulative number reached about 7 million based on leading medical skills and infrastructure. Moreover, Korea has awards from various medical tourism organizations. Recently, Korea won the prize for health and medical tourism destination of the year for 2 consecutive years. And the famous World Medical Tourism Congress has recognized Korea as the Innovation in Healthcare 2018. Asia destination for medical tourism, not only is Korea continuously enhancing excellent and leading medical practice, but also non-medical service customized by origin of each patient. Speaking of strengths of medical service in Korea, all survival rates indicate the excellence compared to other countries. The introduction of cutting-edge medical technologies such as robots is not only reducing the mortality rates of major cancer disease, but also increasing the survival rates. For example, the survival rates for thyroid cancer even exceeds 100%, kidney cancer with 83.1%. In terms of viable transplant survival rates, Korea's success rate is high in the world. The numbers are also outstanding with kidney transplants, 94.7%. Among OECD countries, healthcare service infrastructure of Korea outnumbers with exceptional number of hospital beds, CT scanners, and MRI units. Thanks to large investments and leading medical staffs, infrastructure through Korea can certainly be considered the best in the world. Now, our strengths are focused on patients from Middle East. Based on official statistics, number of patients from Middle East is continuously growing with high satisfaction. On the right side, there are the top 4 Middle East countries. Our competitiveness and healing environment will certainly expand the number of Middle East patients. The percentage in this slide represents the most frequently chosen medical specialties for patients from Middle East, with a high percentage of 21.3%. Internal medicine includes a wide range of severe disease treatments. As mentioned, the 5-year survival rates for cancer and transplant reflect the excellency of Korea's medical treatment capability. Next slide. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Again, focused on Middle East patients, Korea has shown fullest efforts in improving non-medical service in order to satisfy and focus on Middle East patients. Categorized range from visa simplification, referred patients management system, Arabic language interpretation, halal meals, prayer rooms to conveniences. Particularly, each medical institution has in-house Arabic interpreters to support patients to communicate with health practitioners. Hospitals are all equipped with halal food cooking facilities, and the Korean government provides halal food cooking classes with recipes to serve proper food to patients and family members. Also, all hospitals provide prayer rooms to respect religions of patients and family members from Middle East. The bottom line is that our hospitals are prepared to serve patients and family members to have satisfying treatment experience with both an outcome of treatment and the during duration time here in Korea. In response to COVID-19 pandemic, Korea has prepared a system for foreign patients in order to enhance convenience and preserve conditions of disease status. In order to prevent the spread of COVID-19, all inbound passengers entering Korea must undergo a 14-day quarantine. 72 hours before entry into Korea, all visitors must secure a negative COVID-19 test certificate since February 24th, 2021. The Korean Ministry of Health and Welfare has provided medical fast track in order to enhance the convenience for foreign patients. After COVID-19 testing upon arrival, foreign patients with certification are transferred to medical institutions for both quarantine and treatment. Instead of quarantine period at the designed facilities, foreign patients are able to visit pre-arranged hospital for immediate medical attention. In terms of eligibility for patient certificate, one must possess pre-scheduled arrangement with the hospital, and any patient with purpose of wellness or minor treatment are not eligible. In other words, medical track is subject to foreign patients with severe major disease. During the quarantine period at hospital, a foreign patient stays in a single bedroom and must be isolated. Currently, there are total 13 hospitals for Middle East patients. I will mention the list of contract hospitals later in this slide.
Dr. Lee,
okay.
we just wanted to remind you there's only 1 minute left.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes. So since September of 2020, statistics show number of foreign patients who entered Korea by countries. And on right side, neoplasm or cancer treatment was the most frequent treatment among foreign patients. So it is satisfaction survey results. So I show the 82.9% of Middle East patients expressed their satisfaction and trust on medical treatments in Korea. All of the same. On this list of hospitals of currently Korea is prepared with 13 contract hospitals serving Middle East patients. All 13 hospitals are committed to serve patients from Middle East with the fullest efforts and customized infrastructure. I'm sorry. This is a list of hospitals for Middle East patients with major specialty departments. Lastly, I would like to give a brief introduction to our organization, KIDI, Korea Health Industry Development Institute. KIDI is a government-owned organization under the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Yes, we conduct a wide range of global healthcare initiatives, including health and medical research and development, to oversee expansion of medical institutes, attracting foreign patients, and the promotion of digital healthcare. At KD, we do have a department fully committed to support patients from Middle East. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. And I would like to now call on Ms. Fatima to go ahead with her presentation. Please go ahead, Ms. Fatima.
Can I have my slides, please?
Sure.
Share.
Would the control kindly play the presentation of the Supreme Committee of Treatment Overseas? There it is. Go ahead.
Good morning to all of you. And on behalf of Supreme Committee for Treatment Abroad, I'm presenting today Supreme Committee for Treatment Abroad. Actually, Chairman and the members would like to convey their express gratitude and appreciation for the organizer of this webinars. Okay, so can I have the first page of the slide, please? The Supreme Committee for Treatment Abroad was initially established by Resolution number 35 of 2016, amending some provision of Resolution number 37 of 2014, and consisted of chairman and 6 members in 2016. On 20 November 2019, a second resolution was issued, number 26 of 2019, by High Excellency the Prime Minister, God bless his soul, to form the Supreme Committee for the Treatment Abroad, consisting of chairman, and the members were increased from 6 to 10 members from different governmental hospitals. The committee meeting commenced since 2016 on weekly meetings. And can you have the second slide, please? More than 250 meetings have been held since 2016, and 10,000 cases were discussed since 2016 for the overseas treatment. Approved cases are either sent abroad for treatment or arranged and managed by visiting doctors coming to Bahrain to the governmental hospital to do the best quality of care for those cases. The second slide, please. Okay. Here we can see that the overseas, the most top categories of diseases that are overseas and sent for treatment abroad are oncology cases and hematology cases, and mainly they go for the BMT, proton therapy, and very complicated oncology surgeries. Neurosciences, we have epilepsy surgeries, we have Parkinson's diseases for the insertion of the DPS, but in regard to the management of the adjustments, we have already initiated a program of visiting doctors who comes to Bahrain and they do the adjustments at present in Bahrain. So the insertions mainly we don't have here, so they have to go to overseas. Ophthalmology, complicated eye surgeries. Gastroenterology, we have mainly it will be liver transplants being sent overseas, and cardiology, the pediatric complicated cases of cardiac diseases. Second slide, please. Why visiting doctors, and what is the benefit of visiting doctors for governmental hospitals and for the quality of care here? We usually initiate this program in order to provide high quality medical management and the best health services to the Bahraini citizens at their place of residence, rather than sending patients abroad. They get their treatment within their areas. Training of medical staff. So they will exchange the knowledge and skills with the expertise, and this is a part of upgrading of the quality of the medical managements. Developing and improving performances in the facility where visiting doctors work. It's very important to have a visiting doctors to the governmental in order to manage with the administrator authorities on any lack of resources or facilities or programs that need to be implemented and initiated when it's not available. So a lot of resources were being provided, a lot of programs were, since the visiting doctors program initiated, programs were developed during those periods. Reduce the number of cases sent abroad and reduce the cost of sending patients abroad for the treatment. Second slide, please. This is the rate from 2015 to 2020. We could see the starting of the visiting doctors program. We had increase in the rating, but we had little bit reduction in 2020 due to the COVID pandemics and lockdown of the flights and the countries. So we are initiating now to increase the number, even though in 2021 we had little bit difficulties, but still we are trying to have nearly 7 visiting doctors since January up to now to all the medical specialties and the governmental hospitals. Can I have this other slide, please? The frequent visitors of the programs mainly will be having urology, neurosurgery, orthopedics, ophthalmology, kidney transplants, vascular, gastroenterology, neurology, pain management, ENT, mainly skull-based, and plastic reconstructive. We have other specialties when required, so there will be a communication with the visiting doctors and the arrangement for their visits being processed. Another slide, please. So, in order to have the initiation of visiting doctor program, we require from the visiting doctors to provide some documents in order to have a license issue during his visits to the Bahrain. So we cooperate with the Nahra department, and we really appreciate their coordination continuous with the Supreme Committee in issuing the visiting doctor's license during their visits. So the main requirements needed is a passport, copy of passports, active license of practice, certificate. We ask the medical graduation and fellowship, CVs, and visiting doctor's form from Nahra. We forward to the visiting doctor and we ask them to fill part 1 and send a copy, and we that means send all those documents to the Nahra in order to process the license of practice when they are coming. Visiting doctor will be asked for the bank information, and this in order to initiate their payments for their visits, as the finance departments, the requirements that they should have a bank information for their
Dr. Fatima, we are really appreciative of this informative, but if you could just we're running out of time. If you could just slide.
Yes, one slide is remaining.
Thank you very much.
Can I have the second, please? What the privilege of the Supreme Committee is providing the visiting doctors? Air ticket will be under business class free. Accommodation in 5-star hotel will be provided. Transportation from airport to the hotel and hotel to the hospital. All those provision will be under free service. Cash payment in US dollars will be paid, and usually the cash payment will be counted with the consultation and surgery days. So consultation per day and surgery per day. And then we need visa. So previously we were issuing free visa. Now we ask the visiting doctors to apply for the visa on arrival, and the payment of the visa will be included with the cash payment when he comes. And the cash payment will be delivered to the visiting doctors before their departure.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Dr. Ms. Fatima, for your wonderful presentation. Now I wish I was a visiting doctor myself. Thank you all, Dr. Lee and Ms. Fatima, for your insightful presentations. Please join me now to welcome Mr. Ali Limdaifa. He is the Executive Director of Investment Origination of the Bahrain Economic Development Board. Please go ahead, Mr. Ali.
Thank you very much, Leila. Good morning. And on
Morning.
behalf of the Bahrain Economic Development Board, I wanted to express our sincere thanks and gratitude for allowing us some time today in this important platform to shed light on the Bahrain investment value proposition, the regional healthcare dynamics, and where we see synergistic opportunities between Bahrain and Korea. Needless to say, the topic of healthcare and medicine has never been as prominent as it is now, as the world has been trying to acclimate, adapt, and mitigate the effects and implications of the global pandemic and the ensuing public health crisis. As a start, investing in Bahrain is underpinned by three key elements. The first of which pertains to the cost of doing business. Bahrain has a zero corporate and personal income tax environment. 100% foreign ownership is permitted. And most importantly, companies can greatly benefit from up to 43% lower annual operating costs compared to the rest of the GCC. And what really differentiates Bahrain's value proposition here is that all of these incentives are prevalent and applicable countrywide, as we have no free zone restrictions. Secondly, we take great pride in the fact that Bahraini human capital and talent is strongly represented in both the public and private sector and across all vital segments in the economy, whereby the government has spearheaded efforts, particularly through its Labor Fund Temkeen, to continuously upskill and empower local talent through various support schemes to make Bahrainis the preferred choice for employers. In Bahrain, we have been witnessing a 20% year-on-year growth in the number of Bahraini healthcare employees. Additionally, Bahrain ranked 6th globally in the 2020 World Bank Internations Expat Survey. Thirdly, and what is arguably Team Bahrain's most salient feature, is the customer-centric approach and the level of guidance that is extended to all our investors, and that is exemplified by the easy access to key decision makers and officials. And by virtue of our small size as a country, we're able to be agile, nimble, and efficient. Finally, and what is specifically impactful and transformative for the Bahrain healthcare value proposition, is the imminent and future implementation of the National Health Insurance Program, Sahati, which is expected to be rolled out in 2 phases. Phase 1 will provide insurance to the expat community, and phase 2 will provide insurance to the Bahraini community. Essentially, what this will entail is that under the basic packages, expats will be covered in private facilities and Bahrainis will be covered in public facilities, albeit with a premium package option to enable Bahrainis to opt for private hospitals. This reform program should encourage the growth of the private sector within the healthcare space. Next slide, please. Bahrain is strategically located in the heart of the Arabian Gulf and ideally positioned as a gateway to the wider $3.7 trillion MENA market, which is home to a 440 million consumer catchment area, representing 4% of the global GDP. Zooming into the GCC, in turn, represents 43% of the MENA market GDP, and Bahrain's King Fahd Causeway provides the fastest and most efficient access point to 75% of the Saudi market within a 24-hour lead time period. Next slide, please. Bahrain is part of numerous bilateral free trade agreements, namely with the countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Greater Arab Free Trade Area, Singapore, the European Free Trade Association, and one of only 4 countries in the Middle East to have one with the United States of America. Essentially, goods grown, produced, assembled, or quote-unquote substantially transformed in Bahrain would be exported duty-free to all of these countries, thus gaining a competitive edge in the market. And manufacturers operating in Bahrain would also be eligible for duty-free exemptions on all imports of raw materials, equipment, and machinery from anywhere in the world. Next slide, please. Several key trends in the GCC underlie the projected growth of the healthcare sector, including a rapidly expanding population and favorable demographics, emerging middle-class healthcare consumption attributed to increased discretionary spending, rise in chronic lifestyle ailments such as chronic respiratory diseases, diabetes, and other ailments, as well as the introduction of mandatory health insurance, which I had alluded to earlier, as well as increased government spending on healthcare infrastructure, which has experienced a compound annual growth rate of 14.6% for the periods 2015 till 2020, with the total GCC healthcare expenditure projected to reach $105 billion in 2022. Next slide, please. The steady rise in the number of patients has naturally contributed to the surge in demand for healthcare services. Currently, the GCC bed capacity is at 1.9 beds per 1,000 people. And in light of the anticipated rise in the number of patients, the region is expected to need and require 12,358 new hospital beds by 2022. What is illustrated here is a clear compound annual growth rate ranging from 2.2% to 2.3% for the inpatient and outpatient segments. Next slide, please. For a more holistic view of the Bahrain economy and the composition, starting in the 1960s, Bahrain has actively embarked on a comprehensive economic diversification strategy, which has persisted and evolved over the years, aimed at reducing our reliance on oil and gas. Just looking at the latest GDP contributors here, one interesting statistic stands out that shows that just 19 years ago, oil and gas stood at 42% compared to 17.8% today, which really goes to show the prominence that other vital sectors continue to play, such as financial services, manufacturing, and we certainly foresee the technology and telecommunication space to grow significantly in the future, especially in light of the kingdom's digital economy ambitions and given the tech sector's accelerated upward trajectory because of the global pandemic. Bahrain currently has $32 billion worth of inward foreign direct investment stock, which when compared relative to the overall nominal GDP of $38.5 billion, essentially equates to 80%, which places Bahrain at almost double the global average in this particular metric. Next slide, please. Looking at the specific investment opportunities here, this is apart from healthcare services, we focus on several key economic pillars and main growth areas, including financial services, manufacturing and logistics, information communications and telecommunications space, education, healthcare, as well as real estate and tourism. These sectors and subsectors have been specifically identified to capitalize on Bahrain's competitive strengths in all of these respective areas. And this just is a high-level illustration of what the Economic Development Board pursues proactively day in and day out. Next slide, please. And finally, the Bahrain Economic Development Board is keen to engage with Korean industries and investors, whereby we act as the main interface to help with the provision of information, business case support, and investment validation, matchmaking, support with entity incorporation licensing, and we strive to maintain an ongoing and continuous relationship with all our investors as part of an overarching aftercare program to ensure that your businesses not only make the most informed investment decisions possible, but also encourage scalability and growth. Thank you for listening and happy to take any questions directly on my email following this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali, for this informative and very resourceful presentation. Finally, we welcome our two last speakers of the first section of this webinar. Dr. Lee Won-jae, Associate Professor in Seoul National University Buntang Hospital, who will give us his take on the K-style prevention on infectious diseases and COVID-19, followed by Dr. Adil Salman Al-Sayyad, Epidemiology and Public Health Consultant in the Ministry of Health. Please, Dr. Lee, you can take over.
Thank you. My name is Won-jae Lee. I'm interventional cardiologist and also Deputy Chief at International Healthcare Center in Seoul National Buntang Hospital. So let me share my slide first. So I'm going to primarily focus on our hospital preparedness for COVID-19, what we have done so far. So I'll just quickly, review current situation in Korea and move on to our hospital management system to fight with COVID-19. At the end, I'd like to just share a case that we have in last year. So It's been now more than 1 year, and we have had some crisis in the middle. And nowadays we are having daily new case of 500 per day. So we're managing pretty well. But unfortunately, so I made this slide, I think 2 weeks ago. So it was about 500 cases per day. But starting this last weekend, now we are having more than 1,000 patients. So now we are in a station where we are facing a new challenge right now. So right now, our vaccination is in progress. And as far as I know, it's about 30% of Korean population have vaccinated, but still there's a long way to go for us. So how we have handled COVID-19 while taking care of our elective cases. So basically government designated big hospital like us as a safe hospital. So what it means is that patients with respiratory symptoms are isolated from the other patients during the entire care process. So in our hospital, we have maintained our elective surgery and procedures and outpatient clinic. But at the same time, having new system in place, we have treated COVID-19 patients as well. So this is our hospital, and this is main building 1 and main building 2. So right outside of our main building 1, we have set up COVID-19 clinics separately so that we can see these patients before coming into hospital. And before, right in front of our emergency department, yes, we have ED triage also. And we have isolation unit in the main building and separate isolation building at the edge of our hospital. So basically what happens in Korean hospital is that whoever visits the hospital, we're all screened at the gate. So if they're entering just for outpatient care, they're going to be screened at the hospital entrance. If they're seeking emergency care, they're going to be screened at emergency department. So, and then according to their respiratory symptom status or their epidemiological status, they're going to be stratified, and then they'll be sent to either COVID-19 clinic, maybe ER, or they'll get outpatient, usual outpatient clinic visit if they have no risk factors. So before patient comes into hospital, we send out pre-screening questionnaires by mobile. So we send out SMS, and then they'll fill out the pre-screening questionnaire, whether they have symptoms or they have high risk features, or anything, something like that. And when they come to hospital, they're gonna do QR scan and get temperature check, and they'll be able to come into hospital. So this is a picture of our lobby. Right outside of this entrance, we have a QR code desk, info desk right here. And whenever patient comes into hospital, they're gonna get QR code checked and also temperature. So according to their status, they'll just get passed, or they'll sent to ED or COVID-19 clinic according to their risk status. So this is a real picture of our kiosk. So patient comes in, they do QR scan here, temperature will be checked, and if you see blue light, you can just go in, but there's a red light, then our infection team will come out and take care of the rest of the process. And as I said earlier, right outside of our first building, we have set COVID-19 clinic. So this is isolated from our main building. So we have a negative pressure facility, and here, if somebody has respiratory symptoms or if they have some risk of COVID-19, they cannot go into our hospital, but they have to go this area and get checked. And also, this is where our ED department is. So right in front of ED department, we have a 3 triage area. This is 24-hour screening center for high-risk patients. If they're not suspected for COVID-19, they can get usual care here, but they are suspected of COVID-19 or they have high-risk features, they will sent to isolation unit. And in this isolation unit, we have a couple of rooms, and all the medical personnel have to wear level D so that they are free from COVID-19. We have extra rooms and all the facilities in here. When patient need to admitted, we're going to send them to either one of these 3 areas. So one is for confirmed severe cases, and one is for rather moderate cases, and one area is called preemptive isolation unit, which is for patient have a pneumonia, but there's no unknown cause, or they have high risk features of COVID-19. So I'm going to take a little more detail here. So after experiencing MERS, our Korean government had set national inpatient isolation unit around the country. So in our hospital, this was supported by our government. We have 9 beds, which is isolated from our main building. And here we have this facility to fight with emerging diseases like Ebola or MERS. But right now it is all dedicated for COVID-19. So this is some picture of our facility. We have central monitoring. We have a very big negative pressure room, which can handle ECMO, ventilator, or CRRT whenever necessary. And even little search can be done in this area. This is a picture of PPE donning and doffing room. And also we have opened new ward just for COVID-19 confirmed, but rather moderate cases to be isolated and cared in this facility. And next is preemptive isolation ward. So there are patients who have, let's say, just dyspnea or chest pain, but we don't really know whether this patient have COVID-19 or not. So until they're confirmed they do not have COVID-19, those patients will come into this area and get treated. And if they are tested negative, and then they can be moved to our general ward and get treatment. So by having this kind of system, so screening at the gate and then having isolation units, we haven't really changed much on our face-to-face consultation. So there was no change in our consultation time or setting. All the just changes that doctors and patients, everyone just wearing wet mask. And of course, we're using more often hand sanitizers, but basically we're maintaining our routine practice, and number of patients getting surgery or visiting outpatient really didn't have changed. There are a final checking process when a patient misinformed to us, but since we have a DUR system which is shared with our CDC, so whenever a patient is suspicious COVID-19, then we can isolate them at the end. How about management of our in-hospital staffs? Every day in the morning, in the afternoon, we send out electronic questionnaire to check a self-symptom checklist so that we always think about COVID-19. And if there is other new policies or sort of some outbreak happening, we're going to share them with our staff. And this is a picture of our cafeteria. As you can see, we have blocking panels. Well, it wouldn't protect everyone from COVID-19, but still we're trying our best to maintain a COVID-19 outbreak in our hospital as well. And we have shifted all the conference and meetings to teleconferencing. And of course, we're requiring more stricter social distancing for our medical staff. We have trained almost more than 50 of our staff with the PPE because we never know when outbreak will expand. And also we have done a lot of simulations to tackle these COVID-19 situations. So before finishing my talk, I'll just share a story with a 7-year-old boy with advanced cancer. So he had multiple surgeries, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and everything in Russia and China. And he was recently treated in cancer hospital in China, but was recommended to go home because there were no available treatment anymore. But patient mother was strongly wanted a second opinion, so they contact our international healthcare center in SNU-BH for help. And we discussed with our oncologist, and then our oncologist said, let's give him a second chance. Let's evaluate the patient once again, whether there's something more we can do. So we coordinated with mother, and the patient came into our Incheon airport and moved to quarantine facility. I want to remind you that this was time of last year, May, where there was huge outbreak in China. So basically, a patient had to do 14-day quarantine because of the COVID-19. However, this little boy had a severe pain because of cancer. So the control center contacted us whether they can treat him right away. So since this patient had to be isolated, our oncologist and our specialist and we coordinated infection team, and we decided we're going to put this patient in our preemptive area and then do COVID test, and then we're going to do further treatment. So patient was transferred to our hospital, and patient luckily tested negative for COVID-19. So using these kind of facilities, we did CT and MRIs and everything. And our oncologists, radiologists, and our internet healthcare center staff all sat down together and evaluated the patient, and we decided to give him chemo and radiotherapy, and you can see patient had a great response from the treatment. And then when he was discharged and when he was going back to his home country, Russia, the little kid was free from opioid and narcotics. So our hospital, Seoul National University Bundang Hospital, has been a hospital where a lot of doctors want to visit and learn. So we have accepted many healthcare professionals from around the world and provide a lot of education. And before COVID-19, we had CEOs from Moscow, and we have nursing leadership from Moscow as well, providing leadership academy. So as the world's first ambassadors of General Hospital, I really want to say we have a knowledge and skills, and we are ready to help and share whenever you have whenever you need. Thank you.
Before we start with Dr. Adil Al-Sayyad, I just wanted to let the observers who are engaged in the B2B consultations to feel free to leave this platform to the other platform for the B2B consultations, as your meetings will start as of 11:15. Dr. Adil, please have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Leila, and thank you for the colleagues, Dr. Lee and the ambassador, for inviting us for this meeting. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I'll share with you the experience that we had during COVID, and I will concentrate in particular on our experience with contact tracing. It's my field, and what we did to tackle the increase in numbers and demands of the cases, the contacts. And I'll just start by giving you a stab on the total cases. This is the daily report that Ministry of Health issue on daily basis. And this is yesterday's cases. The situation is much better now than what we saw during the last 3-4 weeks. Now, yesterday we had 128 cases. Only the positivity rate is less than 1%, as you can see. Unfortunately, we had 3 deaths. But the good news that we had almost 67, 2/3 of the population received the second dose. They are fully vaccinated. 80% of the targeted or those who are eligible to receive the vaccine already received the vaccine. We aim to cover as much as we can to protect our population. Just as my colleague Dr. Lee mentioned, we had the same issues during different times frame during the pandemic. Earlier, we had much less cases. Unfortunately, we had this surge in May after Ramadan, and fortunately, we managed to, with the team, to reduce the cases. And as you can see, we have a reduction here in the cases. We reached at one point in time to 3K, but fortunately now we are almost around 150, and we are expecting it to decrease more. This is what Dr. Tedros, the WHO lead, stated at the beginning of the pandemic, and it is until now applicable. What shall we do to face this pandemic was, and still the case, to isolate all the cases, test more, treat all the cases, and of course do contact tracing. In addition, we need to vaccinate. So it was isolate, test, treat, trace, and now we are adding vaccinate. So what we did, at the beginning, the capacity to test was around 200-300 per day. Now we are able to test 20,000 per day. We increased the capacity by using different means, as we opened the exhibition center, the main exhibition center, and converted into testing center. We start doing the drive-through, where people can come with their cars and they will be tested for their convenience. And we did mobile unit testing, where we send the mobile units with equipped to test to do testing to different areas. So those who are feel unwell, they think that they came with contact with somebody, that they can go to these mobile units in different areas. And this is what we did, and we are continuing doing it. And actually, we expand the testing areas to another 3 areas. We have Staya and another station. The second pillar of dealing with the pandemic was to treat people. And Dr. Lee presented their experience in Korea in one of the hospitals. It's the same thing here. We have the main hospital, which is Salmani Medical Complex. And we converted some of the wards only to deal with COVID cases. We did the same thing, monitoring, screening all those who are coming to the hospital. In addition to that, the team established different field hospitals, as you can see in the photos here. And we increased also the number of ICU cases. It was less than 50 at the beginning, and we are up to 450 or even 500 beds in the country. So increase the capacity by almost 9 to 10 times the capacity at the beginning of the pandemic. So treat, test, treat, trace. And this is the what we do in public health. We do tracing, we do contact tracing, case investigation. How we do that? We have the case definition, as everybody knows. If you are living with the same house as with a contact, a confirmed contact, will be a confirmed case. You will be a contact. If you came in contact within less than 2 meters without any protection, you will be considered as a contact. If you shake hands, hug any case, you will be a contact. Have a meeting with any contact, any case, you will be considered a contact. So these are the definition of the contacts. It's very clear. All the healthcare workers knew it, and even the public by now, they knew when to consider themselves as contacts. So what we do, usually an automated report will be generated from the public health lab, which is located in the same building where the contact tracing lab. So on daily basis, we will have this report, which will have all the positive cases, and immediately they will be distributed to the contact tracing team. And usually we had a target of following all the cases within 24 hours from issuing their results. So we will contact the case, the positive case. We will call them by phone, and we will take the information related to their situation, where they got the infection from, whom they came with contact in, what is their work, and where at the work, whether they had a contact or not. So we'll have all the list of potential contacts, and we will have them listed. So this is the process. At the beginning, we had like 1 case, 2 cases, 10 cases. This team is the core team of doing the contact. For
Dr. Adil,
yes.
Not to interrupt you, but we only have 1 minute left.
Okay.
So if we could just
so
wrap it up.
The team. I just want to see that we did the capacity stage. We had this volunteers whom the core team was only 10, 12. We had volunteers almost 200 at one point of time. We used the IT programs. We rearranged the teams in order to manage the huge search of cases and contacts in order to manage that. So what we did during the pandemic, we used the volunteers and use the IT programs, investigation sheets, and arrangement of cases. This is the cases, this is the teams, using technology in case investigation and contact tracing, be aware. Of course, this is the vaccination campaign. As I said, we did treat, test, trace, and now vaccination. As I said, we reached to almost 80%. And this is the volunteers, some of them that have been here. Thank you, and thanks for them also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adil. Thank you, Dr. Lee from Seoul National University Hospital. Before we close this section and move, quick note. The audience who are to continue with us to the second section, please feel free to move. Kindly be aware that 15-minute time slot for the B2B consultations would not be able to cover your points conventionally or comprehensively. Therefore, the advice is to leave your contact information for exchange with the Korean counterparts so that you're able to carry on with your meetings on a different platform at another time. Before we leave, for all the observers, the materials that were presented here today will be available on the Korean Embassy's webpage. So feel free to visit the Embassy's webpage to get all the materials that were presented today. Thank you all. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was an honor to meet every one of you, and ma'a salama.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As-salama.
Bye-bye. As-salama.
Thank you.